Good day everyone, my name is Oluwatobi Afitini, a data science and business analytics intern with the Sparks Foundation. As part of our internship program, I was tasked with conducting an exploratory data analysis on the Global Terrorism Database. To begin, I explored the datasets with Microsoft Excel work file, and I'm looking at the datasets. You can see here that we have 139,872 rows of data and 135 columns. After conducting my exploration, I found out the data had some data validation issues that needed to be corrected and cleaned. In cleaning the dataset, I removed irrelevant columns that were not necessary for the analysis. I also dropped the duplicate records. Duplicate records amounted to 13,877 records. I removed special characters from columns that had special characters, and I filled missing values with NA for string or text variables and 0 for numeric variables. After confirming that the data set was cleaned and ready for analysis, I went on to the next phase. For the next phase of my analysis, I decided to normalize my data to reduce redundancy and to enhance efficiency. For this, I used the Quick DBD tool, to create my entity relationship diagram. To create my entity relationship diagram and normalize my data, I created 4 additional tables, which were the locations table, the attack table, the target table, and the weapons table. From the locations table, we can see the country ID as a primary key is connected to the events table, and the foreign key, which is the country ID in the events table. For the attacks table, the attack type ID in the as the primary key is the foreign key in the events table, and this is where they are connected. For the target table, the target type ID is the primary key and there is a foreign key in the events table. The weapons table shows us a connection or the relationship between the weapons table and the events table, where the weapons type ID is a primary key in the weapons table and is a foreign key in the events table. After conducting my data normalization and ensuring that my data was free of redundancy, I went on to the next phase of the analysis, which was to conduct the full analysis with PostgreSQL.
The next phase involves us conducting the full analysis with SQL codes, and to do that, the first thing I did was to create the Global Terrorism Database in my PG admin 4, which we highlighted here. And after creating the database, I created the 5 tables involved, which were the events table, the attack table, the locations table, the targets table, and the weapons table, as you can see here. After creating the tables, I imported my files and began querying. Okay, now to the best part of my presentation, which is the data visualization for our global terrorism analysis. So, while after opening the Power BI desktop, I loaded the tables from these parts. After clicking, the first thing I did was to click Get Data, and I selected the CSV option. And then after loading the data set, let me open the model view so you can see the model that I used with the data set. So here is the model that was used for the data. Just like we have the entity relationship diagram, I also used the model with the star schema, where I used the one-to-many relationship. As you can see, one-to-many relationship. The events table is connected to the weapons table, is connected to the locations table, is connected to the target table, and is connected to the attack table. So alright, let me quickly walk us through my visualization, and for this I used a few charts to visualize my results. The first visual we have here is the field map, or the shape map rather, and from this map we could basically see a geographical overview of the successful attacks across continents. And for the insight that was generated from this visual showed us that the Middle East, Middle East and North Africa, Asia and South America are the top three continents that recorded the highest number of terrorist attacks across the years. And to interact with this visual, we can see here that we could clearly select the region from our filter here. Okay, so let's see for Middle East. We want to click on Middle East here. It should show us the countries in the Middle East. Right. Okay, as you can see, this region shows us the Middle East and the North African region, and for this particular part, this is where we have the highly concentration of terrorist attacks. If you look at Iraq here, you can see Iraq has 12,000 plus attacks over the years, which is very alarming. And you look at countries like Algeria, you can see Algeria here, which is 2,459 attacks. You can see countries like Libya, 734 attacks. You can also see countries like Turkey, 2,574. So this region represents the Middle East and the North African region. Let's look at the Asian region. Okay, from here you can see that we have countries like Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and yeah, we have Georgia. We also have Azerbaijan. This is in the Central Asia region. And if you look at the East Asian region, you should see the countries. We have Japan with 280 attacks, China with 138 attacks. Alright, I'm going to close this now so that we could see clearly the entire regions. Alright, so our first insight generated from this visual shows us that we have over the years 112,000 successful attacks, 283,000 confirmed deaths, and 365,000 people were injured across the years. Next, we move on to our bar chart to show the attack types and the target types, and the count of attack types and the count of target types. Bombings and armed assaults are the most predominant attack types, accounting for over 50% of attacks. And of these attacks, private citizens and the military are the most common targets by terrorists. The use of bombs is clearly used as a means to cause mass casualties, and it also indicates the potential devastating impact of private citizens. Moving on, we go to our ribbon chart. Our ribbon chart here shows us the trend between 1970 and 2014 for the top 5 countries with terrorist attacks. Over the years, we could see that the initial stage from 1970 up until 2000, Colombia had the highest record of terrorist attacks, but also dropped were also reduced between the early 2000 and 2014. But for countries like Iraq, you could see clearly here that Iraq, Pakistan, and Afghanistan are the top three countries recorded the highest cases. As you can see here, they are the countries that recorded the highest cases of terrorist attack between the last 2 decades. Moving on, we go on to our next bar chart that shows the terrorist groups responsible for these attacks. And you can see that the Taliban and the Shining Path are the two top groups that are responsible for attacks that have recorded the highest number of attacks. It is worth noting that the unknown group, or there is an unknown group that was excluded from this chart. This was to just show the entire known groups and what the top 5 known groups that were responsible for the attack. For the weapon types, we have explosives and firearms are responsible for the top 2 attacks, and it is quite alarming that firearms recorded the highest number of total deaths over the years. So it's very alarming. To further buttress the points on the insights that we generated from the weapon types chart. Like I said, it's quite alarming that firearms has contributed to the highest number of recorded cases for the total deaths. We could clearly see here that the firearms has contributed to 137,000 deaths over the years. This is shy away about, or close to, almost close to 50% of the recorded number of deaths over the years. Followed by the explosive, which is 111,000, which has contributed to 111,096 deaths. And you could see here clearly that for the wounded legend, we could see here that the explosives have contributed to 275,000 injuries or injured victims, while firearms has contributed to 59,000 injured victims. This calls for more effective arms regulation by government to ensure that citizens are safe and that violent acts are prevented. Alright, moving on to our last visual, which is our line chart. Our line chart basically shows us the attack trends over the years. And as you can see, 2014 recorded the highest number of attacks, accounting for 11,725 attack counts. The least number of recorded accounts, or the least number of recorded attacks, was in 1971, accounting for just 139 attacks. Overall, it shows us that the number of terrorist attacks has been growing at an increasing and alarming rate over the years. And for the past 2 decades, it has increased more times than usual. And that brings us to the end of our visualization and the insight generated from our visualization. Let me kindly share with you quickly a few recommendations that I made from the insights that we generated. Alright, number 1, given the global nature of terrorism, it is crucial for countries to enhance international cooperation in sharing intelligence resources and strategies to combat terrorism effectively. Collaborative efforts can help prevent successful attacks and minimize the impact of terrorism problems. 2. The Middle East and North Africa, Asia and South America have been identified as hot zones for terrorism. Governments and international organizations should prioritize efforts and resources to address the root causes of terrorism in these regions. This can involve socio-economic development, political stability, and diplomatic initiatives to reduce the attractiveness of extremist ideologies. 3. Bombings and explosions have been a prevalent tactic used by terrorists, as seen from our insights.
The governments across the world should invest in robust counterterrorism strategies and technology to detect and prevent the use of explosives. Efforts and resources to address the root causes of terrorism in these regions. This can involve socio-economic development, political stability, and diplomatic initiatives to reduce the attractiveness of extremist ideologies. 3. Bombings and explosions have been a prevalent tactic used by terrorists, as seen from our insights. The governments across the world should invest in robust counter-terrorism strategies and technology to detect and prevent the use of explosives. Citizens, military personnel, and police are common targets for terrorist attacks. Governments should prioritize the security and safety of these groups through comprehensive security measures, intelligence sharing, training programs, and improved coordination between law enforcement agencies. Number 5. It is highly concerning that firearms have contributed to the most deaths. This calls for more effective arms regulations across the world to ensure citizens' safety and to prevent violent acts. And with that, we come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, everyone, for sticking with me. Once again, I am Oluwatobi Afitini, and I love data analysis. Thank you.